a DATV experiment is nice. Do you realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world? Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain Clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30pm local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I have a couple of our regular contributors, Rex Moncoeur, VK7MO, and Richard, VK7ZBX, in the studios. And Richard has a wonderful T-shirt on there, which is an atomic weight of 123, the element of surprise. So, very good, Richard. And Richard and I have been spending today up here tidying things up, and it's looking very schmick. It's looking very schmick.
Pretty well, and it's all dry, and
it's
places where it's supposed to be dry, and
it's wonderful. It's so. Welcome, Rex. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you.
Now, I understand you have some interesting things to update us on in the optical sphere.
You're right.
Now, let me just push some buttons here, and take us through it.
Okay, we're going. I'm not sure what we reported last time, so we'll go back a little bit.
Okay.
But
recap.
We will recap. Next one. Go to the next one. Okay. This is all leading to the use of a Cree LED, and it's now over 10 years since we did some serious optical.
And where did that 10 years go, Rex?
Yes, optical stuff, and during that 10 years. The performance of LEDs has improved dramatically, and the first improvement we noticed was we compared our Luxions, which we used 10 years ago,
yep,
with the replacement for the Luxions, which are called a Rebel. I was not that keen on the Rebels because they had a lower maximum current rating.
Okay.
But when we tried it out, at the same average current, we got a 10 dB improvement.
That's impressive.
So that looked good.
Okay.
We then got hold of what's called a Cree, which is also a modern one. We'll go on to the next slide. And comparing the Cree with the Rebel, we picked up another 2.9 dB. So there, but the big advantage of the Cree, its rated current, its rated maximum current was 1.5 amps compared to only 0.75 amps for the Rebel. So that sort of made us feel we could push them a bit harder.
Okay.
when we say it's rated at 1.5 amps, we actually run it at 3 amps. But
Okay, double that. Without it going front or leading.
3 amps maximum, which actually turns out with square wave to be 1.5 amps average.
Okay.
So we've now picked up 10 dB and another 3 dB. We then look at the next slide and we compared the 660 nanometer Crees with the 730 nanometer Crees.
Okay.
And essentially at 1.5 amps average, there's no difference. However, the 660 is a much better match to my avalanche photodiode in spectrum response.
Okay.
And I decided, therefore, the 660 Cree was the way to go rather than the 730, although the 730 has a big advantage that it's not so visible to the naked eye, and therefore you don't attract so much attention. But I really didn't want to give up the advantage of the large area APD.
So the APD drops off quite sharply by the sound of that, because
It does.
That's not that far away.
Well, if you're on 660 metre amateur band and you went to the
730,
730, you would be a long way away, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's all relative.
Correct.
So
Okay.
you think of visible light all being about the same frequency, but
it's quite different.
Yeah.
All right.
So we focused on the Cree. Now, if you add up all the gains we've made, we've actually gained about 16.5 dB from what we had before. Now, this is 16.5 dB in signal to noise ratio, which is actually in optical power only half that, about 8.25.
Okay. Yes.
But in the end, it's the signal to noise ratio that counts.
Correct.
So that's pretty useful. Now, as well as that, we'll go on to the next slide. We had 60 LEDs in the old
Cloud banner.
and
the smaller unit.
The smaller unit.
Yeah.
And we're now going to go to 96. And that picks up another 4 dB.
Okay.
So we're now about 20 dB in front. Now we could gain another 1 dB by pushing the Crees up from 1.5 amps to 2, but it's probably not worth the risk unless you're sitting out there desperately wanting another 1 dB.
Okay.
Because we did find the Crees failed at 2.3 amps.
Okay. So 2 is still within the.
Well,
range.
it's within the limit of failure.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, we're now seriesing up a massive number, and only one of them's got to be low on the low side, and we're going to have a failure. So, I think 1.5 is probably safe.
Okay.
And I wouldn't go above 2, and for 1 dB,
there's a risk, high risk for 1 dB.
Yes. So.
Okay.
Now, next slide. Now, this is the new 96 LED transmitter with a bit more than half of the lenses attached, and that's because that's all the supplier could supply.
Right.
And they've gone back to the manufacturer. He says, "Oh, we've got to do another manufacturing run before you can get the rest."
Okay.
He did say early in December that we should get them within 4 weeks, so it may not be that far away.
Okay.
But at this point in time, we really can only test half a bank.
Yeah.
And we've divided them up into half a bank.
40.
But what we did do is also tested the lot without the lenses.
Oh yeah.
To see how much gain.
And
30 dB gain with the lenses.
wow.
Wow.
What beam width's the lens?
The
What?
lens is 8.8,
8.8 or 8.9.
9. Yeah.
So 30 dB from basically going from a Lambertian or whatever they call it.
But you see, if you think about it, Lambertian, its 3 dB points are probably plus or minus 60 degrees or something.
Yeah, okay. So it brings it down to 8.3
Yeah.
and gets you 30 dB.
Yes.
Wow,
Well, remember, half of that is
that's weird.
in the current effect.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's 15 dB in intensity.
Yeah, yep.
And bear in mind, the intensity is as a result of the area of the Lambertian.
Yep.
So if you sort of bring it from 60 down to 4, you've picked up about 10 dB.
Yeah, okay.
And, you know, so it's pretty easy to see where the 30 dB comes from.
Yeah. Wow, okay. Wow. Okay.
So, now this is the new setup
Oh, in Richard Shack.
in Richard's
I
shack.
recognise that.
One of the things, and I might be overdoing it, but they all say keep the temperature of the LEDs low to get maximum efficiency.
Okay.
So I've got pretty heavy duty fans on those heat sinks. And there's in fact 2 heat sinks which are hinged.
Okay.
And that means we can tilt the top one at a different angle to the bottom and run a separate audio frequency on both and decide which is the angle which gives us the maximum signal.
Light. Oh, well, there you go.
And that's been interesting. The other thing is these heat sinks are what's called a thin fin heat sink. And so they have, well, it's all solid aluminium, it's got very thin fins,
Okay.
so you get a lot of conduction.
Yep.
So the number of LEDs was defined by how many would appropriately fit on these heat sinks.
Okay.
And they work out quite nicely to have 4 high rather than 3 that we used to have.
Okay.
But that meant we needed more voltage.
Correct.
And you will see on the left, there, on the right actually, in the middle. Can you point to those little 5-volt power supplies?
No, I can't.
Okay, there's a couple of little 5-volt power supplies which boost the normal 12-volt variable supply up to, something higher. And
Okay.
that means we can run 4 LEDs in series, and then we parallel up
Okay.
48 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did run into a problem that the cables I was using got warm.
The connectors got even warmer.
Yes, the connectors sort of burnt Richard's finger.
Right. Okay.
Running 9 amps average and 18 amps peak through what was really a microphone plug.
Yeah. Okay. So what a Canon plug?
I know, one of those 2-pin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
mic.
Yeah.
I mean, on the JK catalogue it says they're capable of running 10 amps, but
10 Microsoft amps.
yes. So to the right of the 2 5-volt power supplies is the 2 transmitters. Now, at this stage, it's worth pointing out that little one is one of my latest builds,
Okay.
and the old one on the right is the 10-year-old transmitter.
Okay.
And the difference is the new one has a proper zero crossing detector to produce exact square waves.
Okay.
And the other just drives some amplifiers hard on
Yep.
to try and produce square waves.
Okay.
But we'll find out later that there was a significant difference between the two.
Okay.
Okay, next slide. Now the elevation adjustment we only adjusted this once, and with hindsight, I think in future we should, every time we set up, we should do that test, because if we're using clouds, they might be at different heights. And
okay.
That might be the explanation for some fairly variable results that we've been getting
Okay.
since. Because that,
And that's logical.
yes.
Yeah.
The next slide. Now this is the construction of the new transmitter, lead array.
Is this the heat conductive adhesive, is it?
That's right. Those little blue things,
Nice.
they come from the supplier,
Okay.
and they're designed to stick those little star type
Yeah.
LEDs.
Okay.
Well, star type heat sinks with LEDs on them.
Yep.
Cree LEDs on them.
Okay.
And the way I did it is you clean the heat sinks with
Propyl alcohol.
alcohol.
Yep. Plenty of that around. It's
And
called
then-
sanitizer.
Yes. then I ruled up some squares and put each little stick-on thing on first.
Cool.
And then it was a matter of aligning the actual heat sinks. And there is a trick to that, which we'll go on to in a minute.
Okay.
Next slide. So they're all now there in the right alignment. And next slide. Now the trick is the way the lenses go on, you have to offset the soldering to one edge on one,
Okay. Yeah.
and the other edge coming out.
On the opposite.
Otherwise, the lead fails where you've soldered.
Okay.
It didn't seem quite right, but that solution has solved it. And
How are the lenses stuck on? Like, are they actually physically stuck on, or are they?
yeah,
friction?
they come with sort of sticky stuff on the bottom,
Okay.
and a little cellophane protective thing, which
Okay.
you just remove, and then you just push them on.
Okay. Okay.
Now we did get it. This is really going back to the mounting of the heat sinks. On the Rebel site, they recommend that to get maximum adhesion with the double-sided heat tape, you press them for at least 30 seconds with at least 10 pounds. And they drew a graph and show that if you press them with 100 pounds, it actually sticks better.
Okay.
So I went back to the Cree people and they said, oh, no, we just stick them on.
We'll stick them on. Okay.
So as a compromise, I made up a little tool so that I could press them.
Okay.
And I did press them as hard as I could press for 30 seconds.
Right.
I'm not sure how I would measure my
Yeah. Okay.
ability to press at 10 or more pounds.
Your
But
calibrated pressure wrist.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I haven't fallen off thus far. So.
no.
Okay.
So
How hot does the heatsink get?
not at all.
With the fans on, it doesn't get above ambient.
Yeah. Okay. So it's obviously getting rid of the heat.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Shifting a bit of air.
Okay.
I mean, I sort of overdid the heat sinking because I couldn't do the arithmetic to work out what was really necessary, and I thought, well, let's
overdo it other than underdo it.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Now this is the takeoff at Richard's place. It turns out to be about 2.5 degrees to get over those hills.
Yeah. Okay.
a-
That's Mount Wellington, I assume.
That's right.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
On the right hand side.
when we did the sort of tilting adjustment,
Yep.
it actually worked out at 2.5 degrees with the maximum signal, but we ought to do that under different conditions.
Yeah, because it could well change
Each
depending on
Yes.
where the clouds are.
So
And it might change throughout the night.
we might even do that. So yeah, so
And the only reason I say that is to watch Spectra, which comes from Mona, the beam of light.
oh
You watch the cloud levels
yeah,
vary quite dramatically. So
yeah.
it's a good indication. We need to contact Mr. Walsh.
Okay, next slide. Now, the first time we tried this, we got really spectacular signals. Like
Wow.
up to, if you look down the list to the right, you'll see signal levels of 27 dB, plus 27 dB
Flippin' heck.
on the WSJT scale. Now, the interesting thing, if you look at the waterfall to the left, there are two signals there. One is at 1470 hertz, and the other is at 1570 hertz.
Okay.
So we're actually driving two
Yep.
24 LEDs, which is a quarter of the LEDs,
Okay.
on a separate frequency. Now, bear in mind we're going to have 4 times the number of LEDs, which will be 6 dB more optical, and that will give us another 12 dB. Then numbers like plus
Is there an upper scale on WSJT?
I'm not sure. I think it goes up to 49.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
We won't quite be there, but you'll be getting there, though.
yes. Now, so we've got these two signals, and you'll notice that there are two additional signals each side of it, up and down, and they're exactly 100 hertz apart from. And my initial thought is, oh, there must be some AC hum
Yep.
that's rectified and generating that, and I fiddled around with all the power supplies and batteries and stuff and couldn't get rid of it. And the interesting thing is, when Richard closed his windows, there was only two signals there. But as soon as he opened his windows, all these sidebands came.
That's not the mixing product from the lights in his shack.
No, it's the mixing products from these two signals, which are only 100 hertz apart.
Okay. And just interesting. The outside ones have got a lot more spreading on them. Have got.
Yes.
That's just wondered. That's
Yes,
quite
that
interesting.
might mean something. Yes.
Yeah. No. I just.
I'm not quite sure what it means yet.
No. Well, observation.
But so
Okay.
bear in mind that the difference between having Richard's window open and not is about 4 or 5 dB. So whacking
In the positive or negative? What?
negative.
Yeah.
I mean, if he opens his windows, he gets more signal by
okay,
4 or
okay.
5 dB.
Yeah. Okay, that's what you'd expect.
Yeah, and if he so that extra 5 dB was enough to cause these mixing products, and there's no sign of them with 5 dB less signal.
What the hell's going on there?
Well, either I'm speculating because I don't know. Either the APD is being driven into saturation,
Ah, okay. Yeah.
or the amplifiers after, because we got a lot of gain after the APD.
Yeah. And the APD is an incredibly high gain device to
That's
start
right.
with.
Yes, and so something is going non-linear and causing these mixing products.
Okay.
Well,
there you go.
now, but with the window open, and we can actually get another couple of dB if I open my windows, but I didn't do that.
Okay.
But clearly on this night we were getting up to 27 dB, which is an enormous signal, and so
Like that would have been blowing. You could have well and truly heard that. That would have been really loud. Like
yes, that's S9.
S9 plus.
Yes.
It's just okay.
So
Okay.
then the next slide. The next day we had rain, and it's going along only 3, 4, 3, 6, sparing
Mm-hmm.
dB. And you'll notice the next one is -7 and -5. Now, what happened was, because the signal level was very low, I said to Richard, put the same computer into both transmitters so that they're both on the same frequency and they should add up, and we should get 6 dB more.
Okay.
But it went from +6 dB to -7 or -5 and then to 11, so there was the result of adding two signals together cost us about 16 to 20 dB.
Okay.
And what it turned out to be is the transmitter I made 10 years ago had one more amplifier in it, which changed the phase.
So it's actually out of phase.
Out of phase.
So it's subtracting.
And they were subtracting. And I think this is very cute, that you can transmit two optical signals
Exactly the same and get.
and cancel each other out to a significant
I love it.
sense. Now, obviously, one must have been stronger than the other,
Yeah,
otherwise
yeah.
it would have gone to -30 or something.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
So, on this night, 11 dB was the maximum we got, but that's typical of rain. Rain can help you sometimes if you get a small amount of rain just right in the path,
Yep.
but no other rain that absorbs
Yeah,
and
okay.
scatters on the way.
Yeah.
But so it was well down, and I wasn't too worried. You know, with rain, it's
Okay.
so cool. Next slide. Oh, what have
Yeah.
I done wrong?
No. That's Okay, keep going.
All right, so this works a bit differently to my Windows PowerPoint, but basically, over the next days, with the window closed,
Yep.
on the 25th, it dropped from that 27 down to 23.
Yep.
Then 11 dB, then 18, and I think it was 17, the next one. Now, I was a bit disappointed that we weren't getting the sort of levels every night.
Yep.
But compared to the Luxian array when we used to use it, mostly we only got a maximum of 7 or 8 dB.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
bear in mind, this is only 1/4 of this array.
Yeah.
And there's another 12 dB to add to this. So when you take that extra 12 dB into account, without taking that into account, it looks like that we're in the ballpark of getting that 20 dB
Yep.
that we expect,
Okay.
with a variability between 22 and 2035, but you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So some more testing's required to do direct comparisons. One of the difficulties of this method of optical propagation is there's no textbooks you can read to find out, like, you know, like the VHF handbook, which tells you about all the different methods of propagation of VHF.
Because you're writing the book right at the moment.
That's right.
Mm.
And we can't find relationships between any meteorological parameter that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Certainly, rain is but rain aside, we've got no idea what causes good signals or bad.
No. Well, it can be helping you, or it can be attenuating.
Yeah.
Or anything in between. And
That's right. Okay, next slide.
I think that might be it.
That is it. So thank you.
So
I should have asked Richard to make some comments. Do you wish to make some comments?
You're all spot on, Rex. Very correct.
okay.
All right.
So what's the next
Well, the next step is we've got to get these lenses,
okay.
and I think what would be very useful to do once we get the additional lenses is do a comparison with the old 60 lead array and the new one, and at the same, well, I don't know that we could do it at the same time because it'd be physically taking up all your window, but close to the same time when conditions are
You
stable.
could probably put a bit of a shelf, perhaps, and
Yeah.
it sits above it.
And there, Yeah, possibly a chair or something. Could sit there.
Yeah.
So, and just see if that 20 dB improvement is proven in practice.
Okay. Testing. Yep.
Beyond that, I am thinking about our 1 metre receiver lens
Okay.
because
You've got one and I've got one.
well, yes, and it'd be a shame not to use them. would
Correct. Definitely.
it? And sort of notionally, the area is going to go up from 400 to, so I think that the area is about 6 times greater,
Okay.
8 times. So,
Okay.
so you're going to pick up maybe nearly 9 dB in the signal you pick up, and then
Yeah.
when you convert it, that's going to be another 18 dB.
Wow.
In when you detect it.
Yep.
So there might be another 18 dB over this still available.
Impressive. Very impressive.
So that's where we're going, but until we get the lenses.
We'll have to experiment with the power supplies too. We're
Oh
not,
yes,
not sure
whether the power supplies can cope with
because one of the
a full
supplies
bay.
is going into sort of like an overload, even though it's well and truly within its capacity.
Yep.
One of them's complaining a bit. We don't know whether it's a unique thing to that power supply or.
Okay.
So we may need to get another 2 power supplies to run the other 2 segments. That
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
We'll just
we're well
back
within.
up the genset, yeah.
We're well, it's not so bad. I mean,
No, I'm joking.
yeah. I mean, we're only drawing 18 amps peak out of a power supply that's rated at 40 amps.
So it should be doing
Should
it
be.
really.
It's-
Like, it
it's
doesn't get
eating
hot or
it.
anything.
Yeah, but maybe when you turn a power supply on and off at 1500 hertz, it doesn't like it, and it's a switch mode power supply.
Well, it could be interacting with the frequency that it's switching at.
Something,
all sorts of stuff,
and
nasty stuff
feedback
like that.
loops and stuff.
Okay.
So there's still a bit to learn.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
All
That
right.
is excellent. And I look forward to the next instalment.
Should I
Okay,
have a photo?
thank you.
If you want a quick photo,
Ooh.
I have a photo of the
The red light.
Have photo.
funnily enough.
That's what it looks like.
Just plonk that there, and I'll zoom in here, and we'll go to there. There we go. Out the window.
So that was actually the shot when we tried the ones that didn't have the lenses on top, and
okay.
we compared the ones that didn't have the lenses and the ones that did.
So it does light up the trees in the distance there
Yeah.
quite well.
Yeah.
So, what does your neighbours think of this?
Well, they're quite fascinated actually.
Hello, Red.
Just
Can I ring you back shortly? Because we're in the middle of doing a ham radio
television.
presentation, which you can have a look at if you want to. But I'll go home shortly, and I'll be quite keen to do some tests with you. And I'll give you. Okay, thank you. See ya. Bye.
Oh, that's the 10 gig end of the
Sure.
Rain scatter.
rain scatter.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like it might
It's
be
a-
raining.
Another talk
Yeah.
altogether.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, thank you very much, and we look forward to the next instalment.
Right. Well, if Richard can let me out, I will let him back in because he's got the next talk as well.
Can you send Murray in? Murray, if you're listening, make your way to the studio. And
I will disappear now.
okay.
I might listen for you then when I come if you're still on.
Yeah.
See if I can hear it because the 10 gig system's still set up. So
Okay. Thank you.
And this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. And we have another. Just let me do that. That's a bit better, and I need to go do this because you're taller. So welcome, Murray, VK7ZMS. How you going?
Excellent.
Excellent. Enjoying the break?
Yes, very much.
Excellent.
First year in about probably 13 or 14 that I haven't worked Christmas Eve or am scheduled to work New Year's Day. So
Love your work. Love
yes.
your work.
That's as a result of, very sadly, no Sydney to Hobart.
Yeah. Okay. And no taste and no anything. If you go down to the docks, it's pretty dead. It's pretty sad, really. Now, I've asked Murray and Richard to come in because during this last week, the spring VHF UHF Field Day results were released. So, take us through, Murray, the highlights.
The highlights. Well,
Or the lowlights, doesn't really matter.
it's actually the first time I've entered the 4-band competition a few times, but I've never actually had 4 bands.
Okay.
I've previously had 2.5, which would be 2 and 70 and 23 centimetres till my battery on the handheld went flat.
Okay.
So this year
Which is okay.
So,
Why would you say that?
so this year I had a little bit more of an effort, and I actually made a
Ouch.
made a mount to mount the radios in the back of the car, and what you can
Look at this.
what you can see there is a homemade aluminium mount that has the FT818 at the bottom, complete with the
This looks very professional.
complete with the matching the computer interface.
Oh yes.
So you can do all the
frequency logging and all that.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Okay.
and then above that you've got a 70 centimetre amp, and above that a 2 metre amp, and then
Okay.
above that a 6 metre amp,
Okay.
and above that the 23 centimetre 1 watt radio.
Nice.
Very
nice.
It wasn't without problems.
Okay.
I drove the amplifiers with the 818, which just didn't really have enough. Even on FM, it struggled to clear up the amplifiers. I think they were looking for 10 or 20 watts in, really.
Okay. Okay.
So sometimes you would find you would be halfway through an over before the 70 centimetre amp would actually kick in.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah. No, only when you're talking to Launceston or something. Locally, it didn't seem to matter.
Okay.
So that was set up so I could obviously work in the back of the car. I had the dual band antenna on the roof, high gain one that you're probably a bit too long to drive without cracking the roof.
Okay.
And on the front bull bar I had a 5.8 2 metre fiberglass whip.
Okay.
Running as a quarter wave on 6 metres, and it actually tunes up perfectly. It was something I hadn't anticipated, and Hayden mentioned it to me because I said, what's the easiest way of getting this to happen, and he goes, oh well, if you've got an old 5.8 on 2, just run your analyzer over, it'll be pretally close, and it actually was.
Fantastic.
And
Have to remember that.
yeah. So I actually found a couple in the shed that
Okay.
that worked all right. And I just had the small Yagi on 23 centimetres, which I waved around at a few different people, but mostly just towards the Eastern Shore in general. And everyone was mostly pointing at me anyway because I was on the mountain.
Yeah. My next question was what your location was.
Richard didn't go in this particular contest, so I stole his parking spot.
We have to come up with a booking scheme soon.
Yeah. And look, there was nothing particularly notable about my entry except that I did the 24-hour one.
Well, you did the 24-hour one, and you actually did very well in the 24-hour one. Because the 24-hour one, you actually
Wasn't very well patronised.
You actually got second here.
Yeah, I did notice that.
And you're not that far behind the person who actually got first. You could have.
But I think if we can, yeah.
So, but the
only thing of note, the only thing of note was that when I was reading through the notes, I noticed that the longest distance verified contact for the competition was 1,823 kilometres, using the aforementioned quarter wave whip on the front
6
of the
watts.
car, barefoot from the 818 on 6 watts, which was to VK4IF somewhere in Queensland.
Which is pretty damn impressive.
1,823 kilometres, they've said.
Next page.
Oh, he was at Mount Melbourne.
So he was portable too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what equipment he was running,
Damn impressive.
but I think I probably gave him a signal report of 5.9 or 5.5 or something. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he might have probably been on a Yogi or
I
something.
don't think he gave me. Well, I don't know. I had to repeat a couple of things for him, so I suspect he didn't hear me as well as I was hearing him. But
Yeah,
he
okay.
was probably putting out more than 8 watts.
Yeah,
6 watts,
yeah.
6 watts. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
It's pretty good.
So that was the that was the surprise outstander of that.
Now, that is a good segue into just reminding people around the VHF UHF Field Day, Summer Field Day,
Which is not that far away.
which is in a few weeks'
2
time.
weeks.
2 weeks, is it?
Yeah, 15th and 16th.
The 16th and 17th,
Oh, January.
isn't it?
Mm.
We all look at it. Let's just take a look at your calendar on your phone,
Yes, let's do that.
because this is straight off of the broadcast.
Yeah.
This is straight off the broadcast, so I
I
think
don't-
it's the 16th and 17th, but I'm not quite sure. We're just trying to find a calendar here.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. One that says calendar. Sorry if it was confusing.
The only other picture I'll show you, which is
16th and 17th. My apologies.
The 16th and 17th. All right. So, Murray, you have another?
I was just going to say that's the only other real picture of any noteworthiness for the competition. And that was
Let's just go to there.
and that was just for my own records for next time, so I know which direction Launceston is.
Okay. So it's
Over
that
the-
little dip in
over the end of
the.
the
Is that
Bridgeport
little
Bridge.
dip? Is that little dip in those hills?
Yeah. Okay.
Is Launceston? Yes. So
That's a nice photo though. That's,
well,
except your driven elements a little bit out of the.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't go into
did
that.
notice that.
It's
But
pretty good.
apparently, just that short Yagi and one mod is quite fine to get through Launceston.
Well, there you go.
For
I love
quality. Yeah.
I love it. So, just going back, 16th and 17th of January, 0100 to 0100, and there are a few stations, as in Murray and Richard, who will be going portable. I will be going portable, but not with that particular contest, because I'll be up in the northwest activating a few SOTA summits on the Sunday, whilst my XYL is at a harp gathering. So
Unlucky.
just a little bit of a clash of scheduling there. So fantastic. And congratulations, Murray.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
good
That's
fun.
excellent. You must be well and truly up there with the points, the contest. points.
No, I did flick past that and realise I was a fair way behind there. There's some fairly keen people there, and it's almost, when I actually read through the rules, that is reasonably contrived,
It's very contrived, actually.
because it takes into account placings in any division.
and
for
it's
instance,
different for each contest.
For instance, well, and that's how it probably should be. For instance, coming second in that 24-hour category, as opposed to the 8-hour category, is the same amount of kudos
Yeah.
or whatever.
It only actually uses the field day once.
Oh,
You
does it?
actually count one of the field days. It just
Oh,
says
so it's the
in
best
the
one.
standings. It just says VHF UHF field day.
Oh,
So
really?
I think so.
I'd go and have a look at that again.
Yeah.
Because I just did a flick through and went, there's some people there that are actually really.
There are some
having
pretty good scores in amongst it.
a- Yeah.
Okay.
And that's worth almost as many points as the
The
Remembrance
contest.
Day, which
Yeah.
is, the 24 hours of really hard work.
Yeah.
Which you actually hang on. Let me just do something here, and you're actually looking at first, second, and third here.
Just saying.
just put it out there.
Yeah. Just because that may never happen again. In the
Correct. We just need to emphasise that
Not necessarily in that
particular
order.
point. So yeah, that's that. Just putting it out there. So fantastic. Thank you, Murray.
No worries.
That is excellent, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good. And 6 watts. 6 watts on 6 meters.
I had an amp on
1823.
6 meters, which supposedly was to give me 10 watts, but it didn't. I didn't.
Not sure
didn't
that
didn't seem to like keying up, so I pulled it out of line and. didn't
So it
worry
was
about
6 watts. So it was.
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah.
The 6 meter amp I ditched about half an hour into the competition. So
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
that was
damn
on
impressive.
that was on day 2. So it was definitely
Okay.
yeah.
Good stuff.
The one thing that I will note on that I am yet to be able to explain is that at the point that band opened up, the 1296 Sunday morning QSO party was on, and it's on 1296 150, and all these contacts or calls were coming in on 50 150, and I could hear Rex probably 5 by 5 at least on 6 meters, and I couldn't hear, and it was coming over the top of these guys. I couldn't hear what they were saying. I couldn't make these contacts because
Because of the mixing.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I thought maybe it might have been my 1296 radio, one of the amps. I turned everything else in the car off except for the 818, and it was still, it was just being overpowered by the 1296
Well,
signal.
basically.
He was aiming straight at you.
But the thing about that, everyone's aiming at you.
Yes, but if I went 5 kc off,
Yeah.
it wasn't a problem. It was
Yeah. Okay.
exactly on that 150,
Okay.
and that was where everyone was using as the de facto call channel because that's the lowest frequency you're allowed to in the competition use. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
there's that.
All right. Thank you, Murray.
No worries.
Cheers.
See ya.
Cool.
So, what we will do, we'll stick with Richard in the studio now. SSTV talk.
Yeah.
So, how do you want to handle this, Richard?
Pretty loosely. We can maybe just bring up the document and we can just go through a little bit of background, perhaps.
Cool. Just let me. What we will do is do a little electrickery here.
Oh, magic.
Okay, that wasn't what I was expecting.
Perhaps the other spell.
That wasn't what I was expecting. Why am I not getting?
Any video in?
Let's just go back to there. Whilst I...
Whatever bit you wiggled before, you need to wiggle it again.
Okay, so you know you've disappeared off air, right?
Yeah.
Except for your audio.
We just
Whatever he wiggled before, he needs to.
This is live television.
Fixing it as we go.
For God's sake.
Oh, goodness.
I love this. We're not getting a thing.
Yeah, that's really odd.
Why are we not getting a thing?
One of the things I could probably just sort of read a bit while you have a bit of a tinker is
That's what's going out.
okay.
Thank you.
Is basically for people that may or may not be aware of that the International Space Station is up there. It's obviously a large spacecraft in orbit around the Earth. There's a bunch of astronauts and cosmonauts sort of living up there. Obviously built between sort of the USA and Russia. And look, a couple of interesting sort of fun facts. The parts were assembled sort of in space, which is sort of pretty cool, like a big Meccano set that you sort of take the bits up and assemble in space, which is pretty cool. It travels.
Very cool.
It travels at about, it's quoted at 17,500 miles per hour, which equates to 28,000 kilometres an hour, which is quite quick. It orbits the Earth every 90 minutes, and it orbits at an altitude of 250 miles or 402 kilometres, which is sort of not very high, hence it moves pretty quickly, and the passes are normally about, I think a maximum of about 12 minutes for almost an overhead pass. So yeah, look, it's a pretty fantastic bit of kit. I'll just sort of scroll down here a little.
No, go down.
No, that doesn't do that. No, that old chestnut. So another little bit of news is sort of how old is the space station. The first piece was assembled in November 1998. Russian rocket launched the Russian Zaire control module. About 2 weeks later, the Endeavour met Zaire in orbit, and the space shuttle was carrying the US utility node, and they sort of bolted all this stuff together in space, which again, if you think about it, is pretty cool. Sometimes it's hard enough to bolt things together on your kitchen table, so let alone in space. Then it took 2 years for sort of ferrying bits and pieces up there, and the first crew arrived on the 2nd of November 2000. People have lived on the space station ever since. Most pieces, or more pieces, have been added over time, and the completed construction was sort of called in 2011. Often people say, how big is the space station? It's the volume of a 5-bedroom house or 2 Boeing 747 jetliners, which is pretty damn big.
Just a little.
Just a little. It's able to support a crew of 6 people plus some visitors on Earth, which is pretty interesting. On Earth, the space station would weigh almost 1 million pounds. I didn't equate that to kilograms or tons, but as soon as you say a million anything, a million feathers is a lot. So, so 20 years ago, 20 years ago today, part of the reason that we're sort of here doing this talk is that there's a bit of a celebration that on November the 13th, 20 years ago, the Expedition 1 crew turned on the ARIS Ericsson radio for the first time and completed several contacts. So ARIS is an acronym for Amateur Radio
On the International Space Station.
On the International Space Station. Thank you, Justin. And it's been doing it for sort of like for 20 years. So the whole idea was to try and engage amateur radio people to become involved with the space program, which has been pretty sort of successful. So ARIS has been a lot involved with sort of getting people interested in or kids especially interested in the STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths, by doing practical demonstrations, and they have little interviews where the various classrooms can actually have live link-ups with the space station and actually ask questions, and they have it with sort of high school and primary school children, which is sort of pretty damn cool. That in fact was done by a very well-known Australian ham, Tony VK5ZAI,
Yes.
who's just been recently recognised as devoting a significant number of years to being the Australian ARIS telebridge operator, I think is the proper
Correct.
terminology. So he
Correct.
was involved with obviously all of the logistics to sort of set up a classroom. So he would take like his ham radio station and a whole bunch of other equipment to a school,
Yep.
and they would sort of liaise with NASA and the astronauts, and
Correct.
sort of there would be a scripted program because you've only got like 9 or 10 minutes. So it's like these are the questions, and
That's right.
it was quite a finely tuned machine, and Tony used to coordinate and run all that, which would be goodness. Pretty full-on sort of job.
He has a fairly significant tracking station as well. He's down in the southeast of South Australia, place. I think I've got this right at Millicent, I think it's somewhere down there, or Kingston southeast. So if the pass was occurring at that time,
Yep.
over him, he'd actually do the tracking, and then he'd phone patch that through back to the school.
Yep.
Or if it was occurring somewhere else, then it would be phone patched from a number of the stations around the world.
Around the world, back to the classroom.
Back
Yep.
to the classroom.
Yep.
So the one we did with the South Hobart Primary School, that was actually coming to us from Mexico.
Okay.
So yeah.
Because that was the time of the day for the
Well and
for the
truly.
astronauts that
Well and truly.
it was there before lunch gig or whatever, so they had
Correct.
to happen at that time. Yep.
Correct. So yeah, but Tony ended up actually with a Queen's Honour.
Yeah. Not sure if
for
I had a little
his-
bit more on sort of further up my
hang on.
screen. There might be.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. The Order of Australia medal. So well and truly. So
So on November the 8th, yeah, he was
fantastic.
an Order of Australia medal, which is certainly no mean feat. So, but he's been involved. I remember in the old days when I first started playing satellites like Oscar 10 and Oscar 13, he was one of the guys
Well and
that
truly.
was sort of doing some pretty cool things.
Fantastic.
So so there you go. So that was a little bit of a background. Now, basically the system that I use, I'm not sure if we've got video
We
as
don't.
yet.
We don't.
Okay, that's
we
all.
don't.
That's
We
all cool.
don't. However, what I'm going to do here
Ooh,
is
I like this idea.
do
Goodness.
a slightly out of the box solution here.
Need me to
And
grab that other stuff
Yeah.
off the side.
no, that's all right. What we'll do.
Oh.
I love it. I love it when a plan comes together. That's right. So if we go to there, now. Okay, so what are we looking at here, Richard?
Okay, so this is basically a screenshot from the MMS TV program,
Yep.
which I think is pretty much the go-to software. In fact, up until only yesterday, I thought it was pretty much the only SSTV program for Windows, but apparently there is another couple.
Okay.
But this is the one I use, and I think most people around here use. It's really, really quite simple to set up, and it basically takes the audio from your sound card and turns the sounds into pictures. The particular style that they use on the ISS mission is a mode called PD120. I don't know the very intricacies of
I know.
how it works, but basically the full period is 120 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's a resolution of, I think, 640
By
by
480.
480.
Yeah.
It's the old sort of it's not VGA. Yeah, it is VGA.
It's for Joe.
Yeah. In I think 16 colours. So yeah, but it takes 2 minutes. It's reasonably resilient, and it can get quite a good picture if you get the start sync. It basically sends a whole bunch of sync tones at the start, which we can hear sort of a bit later on. We've got one recorded.
Yep.
If you get those sync pulses at the start and you don't have too much sort of noise through it, you'll get a really good picture. So that's actually sort of halfway through a picture.
Yep.
This is a bit of a demonstration. So
And you can see the tones that are coming up here on
Yeah.
the spectrogram.
now the other bit of software I took a screenshot of is the other bit of software is written by this gentleman ON6MU. Now it's the first time I've ever seen this, but I thought I'd sort of mention it.
Yep.
There is an award out there that you can apply for that's run by the AMSAT Argentina organisation,
Okay.
and they recommend you use this software because it can do a few cool things. It can embed your call sign and your grid square and things in the actual picture,
Okay.
and that's what they wanted for that award. So, but apparently it's got some really good features. So it might
Okay.
be worth if you're an
Have a
SSTV
look.
person to maybe sort of fire up and have a bit of a look and compare it.
Cool.
So this is a picture of SatPC32, which is the software that I use on my computer to do the tracking to work out when the space station is going to be visible.
Okay.
And and you can see there it's just started to come over us, I believe.
Yep.
Um,
There's Richard. That little white dot.
little white dot there, yeah. So that was a pass that basically comes in and sort of goes in underneath Tasmania, which was a bit of a pain because the rotors have to go through the south stop. Sometimes you can time it nicely and it's in the middle between two pictures. So the pictures come down a 50% duty cycle, so they send a 2-minute picture and then they have the transmitter off for 2 minutes and then so on. So some passes you can get, as we discussed earlier, you can, if you're lucky, you can get 2 full pictures.
Correct.
But if you're fairly unlucky, you can get half of a picture and then a good picture and then another half of another picture. So
And it's usually that, I've noticed.
yeah,
More than often.
normally is. So that software is pretty cool. That actually controls the antenna rotator and it also controls the radio. So it accounts for Doppler shift.
Yep.
And it also points the antennas where they need to be.
Cool. Oh, I recognise that.
So that's the picture of my 9700 that's being controlled by SAT PC32. The astute viewers will notice that that's in full duplex satellite mode,
Correct.
which is the way SAT PC32 defaults.
And G-Predict.
Yeah. Now there is, if you use the SAT PC32 suite, there is a program called ISS
Oh, okay.
that basically is the same as SAT PC32,
Yep.
but it's got most of the stuff stripped out and it's purely designed for the ISS.
Okay.
So you can only put the one set of caps in and blah blah blah. So,
Cool.
and I think it doesn't put the radio into satellite mode. It just keeps it on 2 meters.
Yeah.
But I had difficulty making it work at such short notice. So,
Yeah.
but that works.
Okay.
That works fine.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
um,
Cool.
so then that's the ubiquitous satellite control antenna controller. That's with thanks to K3NG, of which there are a few
Yeah.
kicking around. I think Justin has 1 or 2. I have 1 or 2.
The azimuth and elevation controller of sorts.
So look, it just works so well. So that basically controls the antennas, and they're driven by a couple of motors, commercial motors, a KR400 rotator and a KR500 elevator, which
Okay.
are sort of commercial things.
Yep.
And the antennas, I didn't have a picture of my antennas because it was dark when I put this together. The antennas are made by Maspro. They're a commercial thing,
Okay.
and they're 2x10 elements on 2 meters and 2x20 elements on 70 centimeters.
Wow. Okay.
That are switchable polarity between left hand and right hand.
Okay.
As I discovered, I'm pretty sure the antenna on the ISS is a linear polarized
Well,
antenna
sure.
because it doesn't tumble.
I
So
think it
it's
is just
stabilised.
a quarter wave
Yeah,
sticking
sort
on
of
the body something.
Mag based on the
Correct.
on the bottom.
Maybe not quite that, but yeah, pretty close.
So look, that's pretty much all the equipment. Now there's a few photos.
Now, sorry, I'm just going to pull the PC back again so we can get to the photos, and then we'll go back to the photos. Hang on, just hold that thought.
Hold that thought.
There's a comment from our sponsors there. So if we can we go through these one at a time? Is this
I think you
going to work?
Is that the little slider?
Yeah,
Can you just go through that?
So okay, what are we looking at here, Richard?
Okay, so these are a few pictures from. I basically grabbed a few images out of my history folder in MMSSTV, and this is from a mission. They basically have special event stations on the ISS, and they'll commemorate different events. And I think this one was to do with the Curiosity landing on Mars.
Oh,
So there's a
yes,
whole bunch
yes,
of basically pictures that sort of to demonstrate that, which they can sort of send down in blocks. So
Yep.
they normally have a particular thing that they want to sort of celebrate, like this, the Curiosity on Mars, and the last one, which was the 20-year anniversary. So
Cool.
these are and look, the pictures come out really quite well. Those are sort of nice and straight, and there's very little noise on those.
Definitely.
Sometimes you can be lucky.
Good.
Look, again, they're 640 by 480. They're not high resolution in today's terms, but when you watch it, it's pretty hypnotic when you actually watch it paint across the screen.
Generate well and
Yeah.
truly. I just keep going.
Yep. So there's
Oh, cool. Pictures from on the ISS.
yeah.
Ah.
So that was them. Because they actually had a time when you could actually talk to them.
Yeah.
I suspect that probably would have ended up as the proverbial bun fight because they're up there 400 kilometres with a quite a large footprint, and they would go, okay, somebody talk to us. So there would be
50 people all talk to them at once.
yeah. So I
Well,
don't
truly.
think that would sort of go very well. But
40 years of intercom.
but you can see obviously the noise at the bottom where you
Okay.
sort of don't quite get the ender. It goes over the horizon, or that one didn't actually get the start pulse, but
36.
there's quite a bit of history,
Hubble.
and that's
Ah, now there's a bit of.
so there's one where yeah,
Yep.
it's not a error corrected technology.
Correct. Now I'll just get my. Sorry, I'm just going to get mine back again. Aerosat,
Yeah,
commemorating Cosmonautics Day. Well, there you go. First and last shuttle cruise.
yep. Can't see Howard Wolowitz in there anyway.
Well and truly.
See that one?
Ah, now this is the current one.
Yeah.
But
So that one actually missed the start sink, and it's basically skewed.
Yep. Yep. You can see that it's skewed here.
Yeah,
You can
and you sort of never really get that back. It's all just
no. Once you miss that first
Yep.
one, whereas that's fine. That's
Yep.
perfect.
yep.
That's good.
So these are the newest ones.
Yep.
And that's I thought I put a few in that obviously didn't sort of work
Yeah.
out right, but
That's good. I got that one.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Yep. Oh, I haven't got that one.
that might have gone back to the other.
Oh, the previous missions. We're just scrolling through basically. So there's have you got a season's greetings one in here somewhere?
I'm not sure. Oh, that might have almost got to the end. That's that screen print. Oh, that's what that looks like if you record it in Audacity.
Yeah, we're back to. Hang on. Let me go back to. There we go.
So I did actually record.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Now, the recording. So that's all the pictures.
that's all the
That's
pictures.
all the
yeah.
pictures. Okay. Let me just go to. We'll go back to something that's vaguely more interesting, which is Richard with his aha toolkit. There it is.
So I had to wait for it to start.
Lovely. For 2 minutes. So that and it's interesting your comment about watching it build the picture, because these different tones, it's different. It is actually different parts of the picture that you're hearing in tone form. So all of a sudden it's a different.
Yeah, a little bit of crackle underneath there, but
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to sort of affect the reception.
So there you go. I love it. I love it.
So it still runs I think until 1700 UTC on the 31st. Yeah.
31st. Yeah.
So yeah, those of you that have got a computer and apparently there is an app you can get on your phone on an Android phone. Yeah, but it costs money.
Okay.
Whereas NMS TV is free.
It's free.
And,
No, it's well and truly is free, and it's certainly. I think you're right. Has certainly been the SSTV program of choice.
Look, by all means, try that RX SSTV.
Yeah.
But look, depending on what radio you've got, if you've got a small handheld Yagi, that'd be sort of nice to be able to sort of point it in the rough direction. I was going to include a little bit on antennas. Obviously, quarter wave antennas would be sort of good for overhead passes, and 5/8 wave sort of verticals would be good for the lower passes, but not so good for the higher ones. And you've got turnstile reflectors and Moxons, Lindenblads, and all sorts.
of. Yeah.
So, but look, it's good. It's really good fun. Like it's not earth-shattering technology, but I don't know. I don't think you can beat sort of for coolness
Getting an
pictures,
image
yeah,
from the
from the
International Space Station.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, well, that is fantastic, Richard.
Oh, and there was,
love it.
where we did apply for a certificate. In
yes.
fact, you got yours. You put it on Facey, but
Yeah. You got yours?
maybe.
Let's see who can get it up quick enough. Quicker.
Gee.
I won't say anything about getting it up quicker than you.
So it's a family show.
Okay. Oh, there we go. No, did it.
Damn it.
So, this is the. Hang on, let me put it on here so that it's bigger. If you receive a picture and you actually upload a picture, you can apply for a very nice Russian/English diploma. They call it a diploma.
Yep.
A diploma, which is the ARIS SSTV 20th Anniversary Award. So it's got some wonderful bits and pieces in there. You can see you get your call sign and everything. Oop, hang on, let me go back with a step here. You get your call sign, and very impressively, have a look at the number that's on here.
Yeah.
172,586. So
They've got an impressive archive too, because when you go on and you upload your picture,
yeah,
if you type in your call sign and look at all of the pictures that you've sent over the years, they go all the way back to
to the first
20
missions.
years ago. Like
Yeah. My earliest ones were 2011. So, but the missions are way back before that. So that is just off the show.
There's a few other guys, like a few of our guys in our club. Paul's grabbed a few.
Paul?
Danny's been grabbing a few.
And in fact, Danny was the one who put me on to that.
The award.
The award.
Yeah.
And then there's the Argentinian award
The
as well.
Argentinian one, which you need to jump through a few more hoops.
There's 15
In fact, if you don't know Spanish, it's probably a bit tricky, but
through Spanish hoops.
but,
So
that's good. There's plenty of activity. So
No, well and truly. So that is fantastic. So just stay there, Richard, because I've been reading the IC705, wonderful rig, love the rig. And in fact, if you want to know anything and everything about the IC705, go to Ham Radio DX, which is Hayden VK7HH's channel on YouTube. He does so many videos on the IC705. But one of the interesting things that I've been reading about is power levels versus battery voltage.
in fact, Hayden did a video, didn't he?
Well, he did an aspect of it, which was more about some of the IC705s appear to have lower power on 70 and 2 meters, which is what Hayden did the video on.
Yep.
To prove that his wasn't actually an issue, and I can certainly vouch for that, because mine isn't an issue either. I get 10 watts out on 2 and 70 in the same way that I get 10 watts out on HF. So but some of the things that I've been reading is, if you're not running 13.8 volts on the external connector, you are not going to get 10 watts.
Yep.
So I did a little test.
Okay.
Did a little test. 10 watts. So what I was going on here is CW. So I just, this is full power. I could have done it on FM. I could have done it on AM. Oh no, actually I couldn't have done it on AM, because you would have had to have turned the AM level up, because the level on AM, they drop it back to, I think, something like 60% or something.
Yeah.
So or lower. So FM or CW, I chose CW. On 13.8 volts external supply, you get 10 watts across all the bands. That's not an issue. Come back to 12 volts, you get 8 watts. Drop down to 11.7 volts, and it drops back to 5 volts. Now, below that, you get down to about 6.8 volts, and it drops. It actually drops out altogether and goes
back to the internal battery.
Correct, which means you get 5 watts.
Yep.
So you just need to be a little bit careful of that, because me running off the LifePo, that's fine if it's fully charged battery.
As soon as the edge goes off
As soon as the edge goes off it, which means it comes back to about 12 volts, you're not actually going to be at the 10 watts.
Yep.
So just a trap for young players. So with the IC705, but still, you could. I did think about this, and that 18650 battery pack that I put together, I put it together for a 12 volt one. You can put them together for a 16 volt one. So go up, put one more series of cells in there, and then there is a 16. Well, it's almost an anything down to 13.8 volt regulator that you put on there, and you then can guarantee that you've always got 13. Well, truly. So that's another way around.
Well, Hayden 705 was pretty flash. It worked in New Zealand on 1 watt.
There you
on
go.
144. So
I love it. Bit like Murray's 6 metres.
That was awesome.
1823 kilometres. Not bad. Not bad at all. Anyway, so I just want to do also a shout out to Kevin. I don't know whether you're watching, Kevin, but Kevin Norris, VK7HKN, had a triple bypass and a valve replacement yesterday. My understanding of the timing, so he will be recuperating. He's probably already running around the hospital, but anyway, it's another story.
Haven't heard any weather reports.
So I am going to visit Kevin, or try and visit Kevin in the next few days, just to find out how he's faring. And I understand that Lynn and a few of his family are also down in Hobart as well, so which is fantastic. So please have a think about Kevin, and if you happen to see Kevin, or you're on Messenger or Facebook with Kevin, he is certainly a Facebook and Messenger sort of type of person. So wish him well, because he's just had a substantial operation. So. Wanted to wish everybody a happy new year, because we're about to well and truly kick 2020 out of the stadium.
Gently usher in 2021 and just see how it's going to perform.
Just be very careful about it. So happy new year to everybody, and also our video. We'll head to our video tonight for our RF viewers. Amateurlogic.tv 149 is which is the Friday the 13th version, because we played the Christmas, which was the 150 edition 150 last week. So yeah, that's our program for tonight. I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back next time in 2021 with our we might even have some new intros and some other bits and pieces for 2021, so to usher 2021 in. So thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Justin.
And
Happy New Year to you.
You too. And we'll catch you next time.
Talk to you on the bands.
Definitely. Oh, and reminder,
Field day.
Don't
forget the field day.
Field day. So yeah. So anyway, 73. Cheers.